Welcome to RocketShip, the podcast where web developers learn the skills and secrets to ship awesome mobile apps. I'm once again Simon Grimm, creator of Galaxies.dev, and today's guest is Vadim Savin. And I think, Vadim, you can give your introduction yourself. Can you please start with the famous lines from your live stream, because I love that.
What's up, not just developers?
Oh, I've been waiting for that.
I don't think I'm going to be able to stay that high energy as you have right now. So I was not prepared for that. Probably I should have been caffeinated more. But yeah, my name is Vadim. I run a YouTube channel, Not Just Development. And yeah, I think it's not just the channel. We do a lot of things.
I think you've grown way beyond a YouTube channel. I wouldn't call it an empire, but you have been successfully building your own company based on YouTube and the whole Not Just brand or Not Just Development brand. And I've been following you for quite some time. You're close to, I think you got 80,000 subscribers on YouTube at this point. So you're,
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, you're 20K ahead. Although currently one of my AI videos is like after 3 months, it's suddenly taking off and gets like 5K views per day, and I get like messages.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but this is not about
you caught
me.
A trend, yeah.
Yeah, I got that. So I would love today to talk with you about GraphQL, AWS Amplify, about startups. You have an Accelerator coming up. You have a new community coming up. Exactly. So, many topics, mostly around React Native and building startups. But maybe we take a step back in the beginning and start with where Vadim actually came from. Where did you go to school, and how did you get into React Native and creating YouTube content?
Okay, so that's a long process.
Give us the condensed version.
Yeah, let's start. I got into programming. It's a bit hard to explain. Like, it's in our country, it's college, but that's basically our high school, where you have like your normal subjects, but besides that, you have also like a specialization. And I chose programming. I got interested in that. So that was probably around 10 years ago. Loved that. The coding part, the challenging stuff. I was doing a lot of things on my own, and started like participating in a lot of like programming contests and so on. So that's where like my love for coding started. But like in a couple of years after I graduated the school, I was not able to go to the contests with the school, so I had like a lack of challenges. Like I needed something, exciting to work on, to challenge myself and to grow. And I think that's when I got into startups. I saw an event, a hackathon, and we decided, okay, let's go, let's try. At that point, I didn't have a lot of experience with like building full stack applications. I had like programming experience, like fundamentals, like very good fundamentals, but when it comes to building applications, not so much. So yeah, we went there, two guys, I think 18 years old, very feeling not in our place, like you look around like all the developers talking about like APIs, databases, and so on. I'm like, here, I know how to do a for loop. That's cool. But yeah, the organizers actually encouraged us to. We had an idea, but we were shy to present it, and they encouraged us like, go for it, So yeah, we suggested that idea. We found another co-founder to join our team, and in the next 3 days, we basically learned Django. I searched on the internet like how to build a website. I found like something about Django, which is a Python framework.
Oh, crazy.
We just looked for some tutorials, and by the end of a weekend, like from Friday to Sunday, we built that application, and we had the application running at the demo day. We had like a public like demo. You could join it, post stuff there.
That is actually like a huge achievement, because if you think back 5-8 years, there were no tools like Supabase or like cloud databases. No. There was no, even React Native wasn't great back then. So yeah, kudos. That must have been like a very challenging process to put that together.
Yeah, I don't even remember like how we learned it, like probably through documentation or stuff like that. a fun fact is that at that point, I didn't know about password hashing. So we simply stored like plain text passwords in the database and then compared it. But the learning is that it didn't stop us. Like the thing that we didn't know, a tool, a technology or something, did not stop us from actually trying and implementing something. Because you can always improve like the technical, and you can always pay down the technical debt that you incur when you just get started. But what you learn from experiences like this, when you don't feel ready, but you still jump into it and try to make the best out of it, you look for resources out there and you make it work, you're going to learn so much out of this experience that no like course out there can help you. So yeah, that's I think where like the whole project-based learning also started for me, and how a couple of years later I got into teaching and educating people about mobile development with project-based as well.
Yeah, I can certainly see how that arc like continues and comes back in 2023 now. To be honest, I've never taken part in a hackathon, and while you were talking about this, I felt like, Simon, you really should do this one day. Especially like at this point where we're both, or many people are somewhat experienced in technology, so the actual coding part isn't too hard, figuring
definitely
out the architecture. But for me, it's always been a problem about the ideas. So I've been burned by my bad ideas and just getting excited about coding problems in the past. So I wanted to develop a job board. I wanted to have a template library, but I never thought about actual problems of people and approaching this from a like more analytical standpoint. So that's why I got burned in the past. And I don't know, maybe I should participate
based on the
again.
books, yeah.
Oh, the Lean Startup. Yeah, Vadim is showing the Lean Startup for everyone just listening. Yeah, there are many books like Build to Sell. They're from Peter. Who's it? Peter Levels. Yeah, he's like all the indie hacker scene. I've been following that whole topic for years. It sometimes looks so easy, like the people. Oh yeah, after 3 years, I'm at 50K MRR, but honestly, I don't think it's that easy. I can't just like solve my own problems anymore in 2023 and sell it, because everyone's been doing that, and especially in the creator economy, everyone's trying to just solve their own problems, and all the old problems have been solved about 10 times. So I found this to be challenging, but you are trying to make that better with your upcoming incubator. Is that right? Or
Yeah, actually, first of all, I would agree with you. Like, especially I think for us developers, I don't know, maybe the way we usually work, like in our office, like with our headsets on, coding and so on, it's a bit harder for us to go out there and based on like the books, like get out of the house and start talking with potential clients and understand their struggles and things like that. I agree, like that's difficult for us. Like, it's much easier to build something because we have these skills, we have a power. Nothing can stop us from coding something. So when you have like, should I go talk with customers or should I open VS Code and start hacking something? We usually tend to go to the second option to go ahead and hack something. But the problem here is that in a lot of cases, we end up building something that people don't want. I think the YC incubator, Accelerator, they have a good saying, build something people want.
Yeah, it sounds so easy, right?
Yeah, it sounds easy. It's hard to get there, but we need to prioritize that. We need to try to make sure that we are not building something that came out in our mind and we think that is genius. I receive a lot of messages from people like, hey, have $1 million ideas. That's what I thought. Like, okay, that's great. Like, that's a great start. But the next step would be to try to validate the idea, try to talk with some customers. You don't have to do that with hundreds of people, but with, like, I don't know, 5, 10 people, if you talk with them and start seeing patterns of challenges and problems and difficulties, you will look for phrases like, oh, I wish something was easier. Oh, I wish that was different. Oh, I'm full of doing that stuff, you know. So when you start hearing that, like you start seeing problems. And I think this is a muscle. Like the more you do it, the easier it is for you to see problems. Because nowadays, like sometimes I have an opposite problem. Like there are too many ideas and too many problems that I see around myself that I would be excited to solve. And at the same time, I don't want to to unfocus myself and start a lot of things.
Right.
So that's a challenge. Like, hey, stay focused. You have one thing.
That's right. I think, that talking to potential customers or people definitely makes sense, and I've read this before as well. So if somebody wanted to get into this, and let's say they don't have an idea yet, where would these people start? I'm kind of asking this with a selfish background, because I would really also like to start a new project. And although I might seem like I have tons of connections and like I'm on Twitter and YouTube, like 95% of the time I'm sitting here in my office and I'm talking to a camera and nobody's listening. Like, so it's actually nice that we both have a conversation this time, not just recording a video. But many developers just like do their work. They maybe have some bit of Twitter. They look around on Reddit and they're kind of like stuck. And I kind of feel that I've been there before, like, for weeks, I've been searching problems, and I know that I want to find a problem. I just can't find it. I don't know where to look, and if I try to like analyze my own life and problems, I tend to be a very optimistic and chilled person. So I don't like, if I have a problem, I probably already came up with a solution to work around the problem. so I don't see it anymore. Like I'm getting blind to my own. I'm getting blind to my own problems. So what's a process to uncovering problems of people when you want to start out?
Yeah, I think that, as you said, like the first place where you would look for problems, I mean, the easiest place where you would look for problems is in your personal life. It's like everything that you are doing and you feel that, hey, this is becoming very repeating, like maybe it can be automated, maybe we can do something about it. Or if you struggle with something, like that's definitely like a problem that at least there is one customer for that. It's you. So the next goal would be to see if there are other people with the same problems. And the next step, I think, would be to learn to listen and listen to people from the communities you are part of, people from around you, from your hobbies and so on. So if you are part of some online communities, like you will just try to pay attention at what people are complaining about. And when they complain, that means that there is a problem behind that. So I think that would be a good place to start. Hobbies, communities.
Yeah, I think I used in the past a tool called Gummy Search, which helps you to like uncover problems on Reddit. I'm not exactly. I'm going to put this in the show notes. That was definitely also an interesting tool to like, helps with the whole research process. And I think during August, yes, please.
Sorry, I just wanted to add here like a very important note. Another place where you get like ideas is, for example, if you are, I don't know, switching careers, or if you have some experience in a different industry. Having like experience and working in a different industry, or maybe your family is working in a specific industry. The knowledge that you gain from being around that environment will tremendously help you to uncover problems. And a lot of people are going after sexy industries, but there are so many other industries that are waiting to be revolutionized that people just don't go there because they don't have access. Maybe it's not interesting. Like, I don't know, not everyone would be excited about, I don't know, agriculture or farming or ports or transportation and so on. So yeah, just follow, like, everyone has their unique place and the experiences that they have went through, which gives you an opportunity, like a unique opportunity to know something that other people don't know. And you just combine, like, hey, like my father worked like for the whole life in railways, and I remember he was always coming back home with complaining about that specific stuff, and nobody's looking at railways and revolutionizing it with some software. So let me look into that, and because my father is working there, I can have like contacts and do some interviews and talk with him and so on. This is just pure example, like
Yeah,
but
I think it's a great idea. Like the personal experiences, it's certainly something everyone should tap into if you have them. So I don't really have a lot of work experience, but you're completely right. Like, for example, my dad was a teacher as well, so I never wanted to become a teacher, and now I'm teaching people to build React Native as actually kind of fine. But yeah, these are exactly the things you can tap into. And what I wanted to say is during August, you ran a cool community event, I think. I couldn't follow it completely because I was doing my own stuff, but it was a summer startup challenge.
Yep.
How did this work? Like, where did you start? What had people to do? Could you like walk me through the process of what you did?
Definitely.
Because I think it sounds really like challenging and cool. It's something I want to take part in next time.
Yeah, and I would encourage you to do so if you want like this hackathon experience. And I'm gonna link it back to my first experience, how I got into startups with that hackathon, and with that like organizers who pushed me to actually go ahead and try my idea. Because at that time I was very shy, and if they didn't push it, like I probably wouldn't be here. So what I'm trying to do with these community events that we are organizing is to provide the same environment for people that I had at my time, trying something new, trying to build an application when I feel that I'm not ready, because I believe that for a very small percentage of them, that can be a very life-changing experience. Either they are continue working on the application that they started, or they learn something new, or they discover something that they didn't know before. So yeah,
or they meet people in the challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
So yeah, that was the idea with hackathons and so on. We organized previous year quite a lot of them. We did one called Code for Ukraine, where we gathered like our community to build some solutions for Ukraine. Then we had like another hackathon back in November, and the best part about it is like all of these hackathons, if you compare them with other videos on our channel, they gather like way less viewership and attention. And we were talking with the team about that, but I said like, hey, like the purpose of this are completely different, and I believe that the value that it brings to the smaller group is way higher than the value combined, like for other things. And cool story is this May at App.js conference, during the first day, two guys approached me and they said that they are the winners of the hackathon that we organized like back in November. And they showed me the application. They told me they are still working at it. So that was cool. The moment when they started working at their own product. And I think that told me that it doesn't matter how many views it gathers. Like we're gonna organize like this kind of community events, because if at least one person will start a project out of them, like I would be the happiest. And the story of that guys is quite interesting, because I think a lot of people can relate with that. They were working as a software engineers, but when you're working as a software engineer, sometimes your work becomes very repetitive. Mm-hmm. Like you feel like a very small cog of the whole system. You don't feel that you are bringing like crazy amount of value. So you're fixing a bug, implementing a small feature, moving some stuff around, which I don't say is not important. It's important, but personally, like if you want to have like a bigger value and see like the results faster, it's not the best environment. So the guys saw the hackathon. They said like, let's give it a try. I'm tired of just fixing bugs. I want to see a project built from ground up. And when you do that in a couple of days, that's exciting. Like when you see things coming up together.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. Like this August, we organized a community event where we encouraged everyone from our community to build their own startups. And during the same process, I also built a production application myself, and I documented everything on YouTube. It was around like 8 live streams, and by then we had like an application published on the market.
Did you start with an idea you already had in mind and then just like build it along the streams?
I had a very general idea in mind.
What was the idea?
I wanted to do something in the financial space, but the financial space for mobile application is quite crowded. It's quite hard to differentiate yourself. So I knew that I had to niche down if I want to have a chance to differentiate from the others. So I focused on a problem that, as you said, like I solved my own problem. I built like a couple's finances application. Basically an application that will help families or couples that are at a point where they manage their finances together to do that from a nice user interface. And that's it all started with a board that we drew with my soon-to-be wife. And then, like I said, like let's do it as an application.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and also once again, great way if you just see this. It doesn't have to be something big. That's probably something you talked about a few times just, and then thought like, hey, yeah, well, let's just do it.
Yeah.
For a quick moment, can we do a quick technical dive into the project? Because I love to look behind the apps that people build in this podcast as well. So, what are the technologies you use to actually then build this project?
Yeah. First of all. And a benefit of like this kind of events and challenges is trying new stuff. I think that's an opportunity where you can give it a try to a technology or a tool that you kind of always wanted to try, but you never find the right time, So that's personally what I did myself as well. I tried 2 new things during these projects. One of them is on the front-end side, on the client side, and that's Tamagoy, which is a great library. And on the back end, I tried something different. I tried Supabase.
Oh, nice.
Which I pretty loved, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been working with Supabase for sponsored content now many times, and I've been following them for years. Actually, like when they were in beta, I think I tried them the first time and got their attention. And since then, they have evolved so much. Like they added tons
when was
of
that?
Yeah, that was at least like, I don't know, 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
So they added so many features. They always have these launch weeks and introduce new stuff. So yeah, Supabase is definitely, to me, more than just a Firebase alternative.
Okay, yeah. But I work a lot with AWS Amplify on my channel. Even my course is based on AWS Amplify, which is a great tool, but the only thing is that sometimes it's a little bit overcomplicated. You need more knowledge of how AWS works behind the scenes, and if you don't have that, it looks like a black box, a magic box that something is happening behind, and if something is not working, it's hard to debug. And on the other hand, with Supabase, I had a different experience. Everything kind of worked. Documentation is great. So we'll see.
Yeah, and for Tamagoy, I'm curious because usually people use Tamagoy if they want to build a web and mobile experience.
Yep.
Was that your plan that you can? I don't know. What was your? Did you use React Native with Tamagoy so you could then also have like a cool web version with Expo Router, or did you combine it with Next.js and Solito? Like there are different setups how we can share stuff. Like what was your setup in this case?
So the setup was quite unique. I actually bought the paid product from Tamagoy that was recently launched.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I saw this. What was the name?
Takeout, I think.
Oh yeah,
on their
put
website.
This in the notes, yeah.
And this is a template of a Bootstrap project that has a lot of things already predefined. The biggest one is like everything is monorepo with everything split into packages. On the mobile side, we have React Native, Expo, of course. We have Expo Router for the navigation on the mobile application, but we don't use Expo Router for the web. On the web, we use Next.js with Solito, and that's the stack. The thing is, I have like everything that probably works on the web, but I try to stay focused on the mobile side, so I was more focused on that. But as you said, like with Tamagoy, you can build like cross-platform on web and mobile. So I think with a couple of changes, like I can make it work on the web as well.
Yeah, I think that's important that you also don't over-engineer in the beginning. You also said this before for your first hackathon. Like you just pick the technology and some backend, and then you just go with it. Like you don't expect 10 million users overnight next week. You can pretty much use whatever you want in those hackathons, or when you're also just personally starting up a project. We as developers, if we are active on social media, like these whole discussions, like, oh, the performance of this and Tailwind is bad, and I'm always like drawn into this, and then I'm like, just stop it and just build something. It doesn't matter where your brackets are. It doesn't matter if it's a for loop or a map. It's just build. You can build great stuff with PHP, Rust, Go, Node.js, whatever it is. And my credo has always been, if at any point I get so many users that I have performance problems,
that's a good problem to have.
I will have enough money to pay someone to make that system right.
Exactly. That's how everyone should think, especially if you're building like projects, you know. I completely agree with that. I think Elon Musk has a saying like the biggest waste of time is optimizing something that shouldn't even exist. So when you're starting a project, your first goal is to validate the idea, to try to understand if the project itself like should exist out there. And only then, like if it should exist, if it shows that there is interest in it, it's also like real problems. Only then you can think about like optimization, animations, and so on. Yeah. That's why I stay away from some topics on my YouTube, even though they are quite popular out there, such as animations. They're great. I really love building them and trying to design and engineer them or look at them, but I don't believe that's the most important part, especially when you're starting out. And because, I'm trying to target more like independent developers that want to build something of their own, I think animations, optimizations, and so on comes later.
Completely agree. Yeah. So you built the Couples Finance app during the Summer Startups Challenge, and I assume you also released it at the end. How many other applications were released as well? Because I read on Twitter you had like a cool demo day. So what was the outcome of the whole Summer Challenge?
Yeah, so for the Summer Challenge, we kind of combine it together with the demo day of the Accelerator. So I'm not sure we can talk about that as well. Long story short, I ran a pilot program of an accelerator that is coming soon, where I picked 5 projects and we worked with them like every week with multiple like meetings and so on, helping them build and launch their applications. So I was happy to see, besides that project that I presented, I was happy to see 3 exciting projects from our pilot program that were built and published in 3 months. So that's not like summer startup, but it was presented at the demo day.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the demo day is on our YouTube channel. You can check it out. There are really cool projects built by developers and also people that. A very interesting story from our pilot program is one founder, he started his application a couple of years ago. And during the pandemic, it was really difficult with raising funding. So basically, he had his CTO leave the startup, and he had to do something. In order to build the MVP, he went to some agencies to get a quote. I think they quoted him $100,000 euros for building the MVP, and he said like, no, I think I'm gonna have to do it myself. So without any programming experience, first he joined our course. He joined like every meeting, like asking me like, hey, how is that? And after 2 months, when we invited people for the accelerator, he was the first one to apply. And just because of his dedication, I said like, yes, let's give it a try. So in 3 months, he built an application, quite a huge application. It doesn't even compare with the couples finances application that I've built. Like it's, I don't know, 10 times more features from a person that started coding like 3 months ago. And yeah, that's a great story. Like now he has the application launched. He has already users there. And yeah, pretty exciting about that.
What were some of the applications presented at launch day? Like in which categories were those applications, roughly?
So the one that I'm talking about is a social media for creators at this moment, but later on they will try to revolutionize like the way creators interact with and get jobs and make a living. Mm-hmm. The other one was AI-based language learning tool, which is very exciting. The idea is quite interesting. It generates articles using AI for you to read. And I remember myself when I was learning English, the moment when I started being fluent and being able to speak was after I started reading in English. Mm-hmm. So the reading part is quite important. And yeah, it's exciting. It uses ChatGPT. And the third one is an application that would help you share and follow other people's diets and what they're specifically eating. Yeah.
So interesting. It's like always when you hear about these ideas that other people develop, you're like, oh yeah, I could have that idea. So you sometimes don't really see like the small problems in life. And one thing I just thought about again is that in the past I also often found ideas by looking at like App Store categories and apps, mm-hmm. and looking at the bad reviews like that mm-hmm. applications got, where people said, oh, this is so slow, this doesn't look good. And just this morning I talked to a friend of mine, and we want to develop a little app for like the tides at the North Sea in Germany. There is actually one application in the App Store, but it's horrible. It's not even loading the tide times like high water and down. So yeah, we're trying to tackle that. We're trying to parse some data from a weather service and trying to I have no idea if we can actually monetize this, but this is more of a personal problem we're solving as we've like been there before. We always wanted to see this in an app, and the app did not work. But looking at the App Store and looking at bad examples or just like mediocre apps and how they could be made better is usually also a good starting point. You just don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like you can just do something a tiny bit better, and that's sometimes all you need to get started.
That's exactly true. Like a lot of times, like we have an idea, in then we find that someone else is doing that, and a lot of people get discouraged. Like, oh, that's it. I cannot do it because there is someone else doing it already, which I think is not the right way to think about. You can think about how you can be different, how you can be better. Maybe they are a more general tool and you can target a specific niche. So there is a lot of ways you can differentiate yourself. But the fact that there is already a competitor doing that is actually a very good validation point, because there is demand for this problem. Because in a lot of cases, we imagine problems that actually are not there, like, I don't know, social media for pets or something like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you built an application recently for the bedtime stories.
Oh, yes.
How is that going?
Actually, not too bad. So I'm really bad at checking stats and optimizing stuff after I launch it. I usually just build stuff, and then I'm happy. I talk about it, do a video, and then set and forget it. So there were some in-app purchases in the Bedtime Stories app.
Yeah.
I think I actually fall into the category you just said, because there's another app, I think it's called Oscar. I've been talking with them on Twitter as well, which is doing pretty much the same for children, but in a very cute way. And they have a startup. And once I saw that they actually have a website and they were in Austria media, I was like, oh, they're taking this really serious. I have no interest in that. So I got really discouraged and thought like, I can't compete with that company, or I don't want to, because it's like not my main business. I'm a content creator, and I've like, while I was working a full-time job, I think I actually had more time for side projects than I have now, because now I'm just doing all of this the whole day, and when it's like 5, 6 p.m., I just want to be with my family. I don't want to do side projects in the evening. Yeah. So
it's very hard. Like that's something that I struggle myself with. Like I have phases, you know. I go hard on content and on the business and so on. Then at one point I start like, hey, it's been a long time since I've built an actual application.
Oh yeah, like that as well.
I really want to do that. Not only for educational purposes, but actual application that I would launch. Then I build it, I launch it. After I launch it, I'm like, I really have to focus on the business. Like I don't have time for the applications and so on. So it's always like that.
But the funny thing is, so that Bedtime Stories app did okay. I think I probably could do better, but I kind of lost interest and didn't want to do anymore. But I do have another application that I built maybe like 2 months before, which I built because I had the problem. So when I was cutting my weight, there were like a lot of great health applications, and you can track all the macros and all your foods and create this. And there's so much clicking you need to do in those applications. I got really annoyed. Like, I just want to have, I eat pretty much 75% of what I eat is the same every day. Maybe some exchange. Like, I have my oats and stuff and meals, and I know the calories. And I just want to have, like, that should be able that I can track this with 2 clicks. I just have with favorites, oats, right? Yeah. So I built an application that I called Quick Track. Which is using a public API to like scan barcodes or APIs of food, and then you can enter it. And it doesn't look great, but I think by now it has like 50 reviews or so. So definitely most of all the applications I ever built, and people are saying like, yeah, this is great. It's a free application. I can easily track my stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that was exactly the purpose. So I think I should probably revisit this. I think
that's impressive. By the way, are you... On the topic of reviews, are you asking users to leave a review in the application, or do you do something proactive?
Yeah, I think after like adding your third meal or something, it says, hey, do you want to rate us on the App Store? I think that's a very important part. To do.
That's the next feature I have like for the Famify when I have time.
But that app is completely free, and I had no plans for it. I just wanted to develop it for myself. And now it's not taking off, but it's getting popular. And to be honest, I actually don't know where to take it from here, because now I see people are using these App Store optimization tools, and you need to monitor keywords, and you do this, and I'm like, oh no, not again.
I don't know. For me, that part is exciting. Like, that's also what I'm getting into right now, more about like the marketing side of mobile applications, because going forward with Accelerator, that is going to be a very important aspect of the program that we're going to offer, not only the technical side, but also the marketing and how to get users. And the keyword, like the marketing side of mobile applications have like very specific things that are quite different from web applications, SaaS, and so on. So the keywords research and these things are quite important, and I'm just getting into that, starting to track.
Yeah, and it's a topic you usually don't have any experience with. Like, you have some web development experience, and maybe you can transfer this to native with React Native and stuff, but like app stores and optimizing keywords or how your images look, like that's totally beyond the skills of a regular developer. And I would have to like read a lot on this to get like any meaningful output. Maybe ChatGPT could give me a strategy, but I would rather join your accelerator for that.
Excited about that. we are opening.
Yeah, so I saw your next batch is January 2024. Is that correct? Can I apply and join the waitlist already? Can you tell me, do I have to fill out anything to get on the list, or do I have to jump through some hoops to qualify to get accepted into the batch?
Yeah, so long story short, as I said, we did this pilot program during summer, and now we are preparing for the first public batch. And actually, a couple of days ago was the first time when I started talking publicly about the Accelerator. So yeah, January 2024 is going to be the start of our first batch. It's going to be a 3-month batch, and by the end of it, our guarantee is that you're going to publish your app idea. And at the moment, what you can do is you can join the waitlist at notjust.dev/accelerator. At this moment, you just join the waitlist, and somewhere in November, we're going to open the application process. At that moment, we're going to send an email to everyone, and you're going to apply with your idea. It's going to be a standard application process for startups, talking about like the idea, problem, solution, your unique advantage in bringing this to reality. And after that, we're going to select a couple of projects. We're going to do interviews, and based on the interviews, we're going to select 10 projects. So with 10 projects, we're going to kickstart our first batch. And we're going to do this twice a year. So yeah, very limited.
That sounds really interesting, especially as during our conversation, I just internally noticed that I actually do have good ideas, and I have shipped them already, but I'm incredibly bad at following up and just like sticking to something. And I assume that if I would join an accelerator and I would like every week talk to someone, it doesn't actually matter if that somebody understands a lot about my idea or something, but just talking to somebody every week would get me like this accountability I need for myself, because I have just no motivation to get back into those apps right now. Really, it's zero. It's really zero. So I think an accelerator would be a great idea to just be accountable and just follow up and make progress every week.
Yeah, definitely. That's something that the first project from the pilot program we said like is some of the most valuable things that we've got is this peer accountability, because we met twice a week for the accountability checks, and it doesn't stop actually after the 3 months, because the founders from the pilot at the end, they were so sad, like, oh, we don't want this to stop. We're going to miss like the accountability checks and so on. So I said like, okay, let's create a alumnus program where after you graduate, you stay in this alumnus community, and we're going to probably do self-organized accountability meetings and so on. But it's still going to be you're part of a community that are working towards the same goals. You can share knowledge. You can learn way faster, because if someone has a mistake, where I'm going to help them, and everyone else is going to learn out of it. One example was one of the startups had issues with very slow loading images, and I think that's a very common problem for a lot of applications. So to help specifically that project, I organized a workshop, and I showed a AWS solution that decreased the load time of images. Like, I don't know, it was crazy. I have a video about that on the channel, but basically it helped like load images almost instantly. And based on that workshop, the other projects from the Accelerator implemented it as well and got these benefits. So someone had a struggle, we helped them, and everyone benefits. And yeah, going forward, the Accelerator is going to be this hub of knowledge where it's not only me, but the whole network and community will bring them the expertise, the experiments, and everything that they know and share with each other, so we grow together.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to the next batch, and I already joined the list while we were talking 5 minutes ago, so I'm going to put the link to all of this in our show notes. I could talk probably for another hour with you about side projects. And I think I will definitely bring you back once you launch your next Accelerator, so we can talk about this again. For today, I want to wrap this up with a quick question round, so quick fire round of 5 questions for you. Yeah, they are easy. All right, so first question, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars, because I only saw one episode.
All right.
I don't watch movies.
I think that's still one more than my wife. But we watch some series. Anyway, Mac or Windows?
Well, Mac, definitely.
Yeah, I'm on that team as well. All right, your favorite IDE is?
VS Code?
Yes, of course. There's only one right answer. What is the latest discovered package, library, or service that you used that helped you in your work?
I will mention here both Tamagoy and Supabase, really great tools that I will definitely use more often in my next projects, and also tutorials.
By the way, quick note on Tamagoy, this episode drops a bit later, but I think there will still be... oh no, it's actually not Tamagoy, it's a different package. I will not spoil that news. We're gonna see that. Anyway, last question. Something that made you happy this week?
Something that made me happy this week.
Yeah, I exchanged that question. I previously had like your latest useful purchase, but I felt this to be too materialistic, so I changed this to be something that uplifts us.
Yeah, actually, it's very easy if we take the last 7 days, because we finished a lot of projects. We launched our Accelerator, and that was such a relief, because now I can talk about that publicly. And we are preparing for our next batch, and yeah, that's a very huge shift in how we're gonna do things. We're gonna try to do more free education, and we're gonna try to help you more with building actual application, launching them to users. So it's scary, exciting, and yeah, can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to put everything in the show notes. People can find you at notjust.dev. The Accelerator is notjustdev/accelerator. And if you still want to learn more about React Native and AWS, you can also join academy.notjustdev, which is Vadim's online school. And of course, you can find him on YouTube. I think you're doing weekly live streams still. Is that still? Yes, every Friday afternoon Europe time, right?
Yes.
So, all right. Everyone, go check that out. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and check out Galaxy's Dev for the first step to learn React Native. And afterwards, you can join Vadim's Accelerator, hopefully. So thank you, Vadim. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope to see you again in the future.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure talking with you as well. And yeah, looking forward to the next episodes.
Yeah, there will be many, hopefully. So thank you.